Cinema Classics is sponsored by the Gateway Film Center and is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows online at wcbe.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
It is.
We got a new one for the canon. One of the great animated films of the past 10 years.
Oh.
For sure.
Yep.
Would you say?
Yeah, and it'd be competing with its brothers and sisters from Pixar.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about Soul, of course. And how do you feel about Pixar in general these past 10 years?
In general, I think Pixar has a dual personality.
Okay.
It has one where you have Toy Story and Incredibles and Cars.
Uh-huh.
Very popular and witty.
Yeah.
Then you have deeper thinking, which for me would be Wall-E, Up, Inside Out, and what you would excoriate, Ratatouille.
Oh, Ratatouille, yeah.
So I see it as capable of doing either side.
I have a really conflicted relationship with Pixar, I feel, because, you know, with Toy Story, the Toy Story movies are all fabulous.
Yeah.
They're all great. And I would even consider Toy Story, the first one, to be one of the great films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they start to lose me a little bit. Some of their other films, I feel, are just accepted like, oh, it's Pixar. It's automatically great.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't buy that. I think a lot of their movies are kind of like, recently even, Onward. I thought that movie was really terrible. It was a drag and not funny. The comedy seemed forced. Inside Out, everybody loved that.
I did. Yes.
I didn't really...
More like this Soul that we're talking about.
Yeah. So, anyway, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I went into this with effectively lowered expectations.
Sure, yeah.
And I was really delighted by this movie.
Yeah. I mean, their visuals are sumptuous in almost all cases. Very well done. Their expressions are perfect for their characters. They do that very well.
Yeah.
But I think they have perhaps too many films. If you looked at there are many that I haven't even seen that they've cranked out. They could have done that, but still, I just cataloged about 7 or 8 that I think were first rate. So, but Soul, I'm surprised now. If you didn't like Inside Out or maybe Up, I think you liked Up. I don't know.
I did like Up. Up is, you know, I like Up because it's weird. and it takes you to places that you're not expecting.
Oh, but Soul isn't weird?
No, I like Soul. It is weird, and that's what I like about it. I think anytime you can introduce younger audiences to weird material, it's great. Now, I don't know that a lot of kids are going to get what's going on here. I think that they definitely understand death is hovering over the proceedings, and that in and of itself is a kind of bold move for an animated movie. I mean, obviously Disney used to kind of traffic in death early on a lot, right? You know, Bambi.
Sure.
And so forth. So I think it's great. I think it's great to give children headier concepts to wrestle
Well,
with.
it's one of those Pixars that the adults can enjoy and the kids can. I think you're right. I think in this one, if the kids probably can't go too deeply into this, but the idea of before life and after life, and what I like very much here is rather than telling you you have to be what you want to be, as most animations will do, that will be their message. Right here is that you can be what you want to be, but you got to develop, you got to build.
Right.
You've got to have energy.
And that's kind of the brilliance of this movie, is that it does operate on this level where kids can totally get into it. So take away the death concept and the soul and all that stuff. You have a guy who just wants to get to this gig, right? He just wants to play the piano at this gig. And kids will understand that he is trying to get to that point. Right. And all these other things are standing in the way. It's a typical narrative device, right? Where the hero tries to get to point C, but at point B he's interfered with, and so on and so.
What I love is it's so contra to what we adults try to teach our kids. He gets a chance to have a full-time job as the director of a band in a middle school,
Mm-hmm.
and he's even thinking of making a career in jazz.
Yeah.
But that's where his passion is.
Yeah.
That's where his soul is, and I love that.
Yeah, and I thought that the movie was going to go in that direction where his purpose, I thought he was going to discover, was teaching, because that's where
I know. Yes,
Joe's
you're right.
passion lies.
It's counterintuitive, right?
So I do have to ask you, with just a minute left
Oh
to
my
go,
gosh.
about the role of race in this movie,
Yes,
because I don't know.
he's black. Our hero's black.
Right. And this movie's coming out at the end of a very difficult year
Yes.
for Americans in terms of
Mhm.
race relations. And now the movie does not ever really evoke race at all. But race, as you know, and gender even, are inescapable when you're watching movies.
Sure.
So what do you think? How do you think this movie fits
Well,
into
first,
the
I
overall
think,
scheme?
first of all, you rightfully said this, they don't play the race card here. But they do have their major character as black, which is a bit unusual. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is all black guys except for the two rogues who are the owners and the promoters. And I think that also music has been, particularly jazz, has been the province of black folk.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a uniquely black art form.
So it makes sense to me, and that's what I believe their brilliance is, that they don't hit you with it. They just make it be.
Right. Yeah, there was some dust up about Tina Fey providing the voice for the little
Yeah.
blob of soul, the
Yeah.
22, number 22, just because of historically problematic devices in movies like that. So anyway, I do think the movie transcends any sort of problems that it might have, and it really is a delightful, challenging movie for both adults and kids. Oh, that's it, John.
Wow.
Time's up.
No, that's just people calling and saying, "Will you guys get off the air?"
Hold on, there we go.
So, did we have a proper ending?
I think that's it. That was that was our timer saying we're done.